On this week's episode of The Video Store, Josh went to Fantasy Island and wrote the report while Frank took the last Boy Scout to an always amazing laundromat, while Josh got an invitation to life with Jojo Rabbit while Frank had an appointment with Dr. Sleep because of his little monsters.
Bravo, motherfucker, bravo.
All right.
Welcome to the Video Store Podcast. We are here to review movies, TV shows, and everything else that we've watched, and look ahead at what's streaming on demand, out for rental, and in theaters. My name's Frank.
This is Josh. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it goes.
You wouldn't even know that we talked like an hour before this.
No, because these are totally fresh conversations.
Yep. Save it for the pod. Josh, why don't you lead the podcast off with some thoughts and trailers?
Before thoughts and trailers, Frank, this is brought to you by Butt Plugs. The plug you forgot you needed.
There's no brand?
No.
Okay.
This is Butt Plugs.
Okay. You're obviously doing a thing. We'll let it go for now and see how it goes. Thoughts and trailers.
Fantasy Island. A title that makes you not want to watch it, but a trailer that kind of makes you want to watch it. That should be the tagline for the movie.
Tell me what you mean. I think you probably want to see it because your boy Michael Peña's in it.
Peña.
Is this related to the TV show?
This is a horror adaptation of the popular 70s TV show about a magical island resort. Although something is different about these person's fantasies.
Yeah, I saw the Peter Dinklage movie about the main character of Fantasy Island. You know what I'm talking about? The plane. Wow, you're just really just doing it today, aren't you? These accents are terrible.
It's not meant to be a true accent.
I know they're bad, but so that wasn't a horror show, is what I was going to get to, and now they're doing a horror movie adaptation of a. Like, why? I don't get it.
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't ask any questions. And
none of these characters sound like characters from the show. Michael Peña plays Mr. Roark. Maybe that was a character, but Devilface?
Devilface. Michael Rooker's in it, so I don't know. It just seems like a weird horror take on something that we didn't know we ever needed and probably still don't need.
Tell me what the trailer looked like. What kind of horror movie? Is it a slasher?
It is more of the fantasies that you have there can be torturous or evil or fucked up in some aspect or another. That's kind of the whole get up. These people, they offer them whatever their fantasy is. Some people have some horrible ones. Something's happening. There's some underladen weird shit. I don't know. It left me in complete questions, not a lot of answers.
Interesting. Okay. I'm curious now. You had wasn't much to explain, I guess, but I'm going to check out this trailer after this.
Okay.
And then I'm kind of familiar with The Report. I know it's an Adam Driver series. I thought it was a movie.
It is not.
But it is not, apparently. Tell us about The Report.
Well, if you haven't checked out the trailer, by the way, it is pretty gripping. I would say for a story that we all may be a little bit familiar with. This is about a Senate staffer, Daniel J. Jones. I don't know about the name, but okay. Tasked by his boss to lead an investigation into the CIA's post 9/11 detention and interrogation programs, all of the waterboarding and Guantanamo Bay, and pretty much really dig into our own government and how they're treating people beyond the realm or letter of the law. So we're all familiar that this did happen, and these events are, I'm sure, dramatized for television, but these things did happen to people. Guantanamo Bay, has that been reopened now? I don't keep up with my Guantanamo Bay times, but I know it was shut down, and then I don't know if Trump was negated all that. I have no idea.
I'm sure we still torture people and do all kinds of illegal shit for the sake of fighting terrorism. I have breaking news.
Sometimes for the sake of fighting terrorism.
Breaking news on this one. Not only is it going to be out November 15th, it's a theatrical and Amazon Prime release, and also it's a movie. It is not a series.
Okay.
Yeah. So that the report's going to be out real soon. Select theaters this weekend, as you're hearing this now, and then it just says coming soon to Amazon Prime. So,
it's coming on Amazon Prime.
And then February is the release date for this horror movie, Fantasy Island.
Fantasy, Lonely, Lovely Island.
Yeah. Let's stop incorrectly speculating on things and talk about what we've watched. So I'm taking a look here, and it seems like you have still maybe replaced the batteries, but you still have the giant remote with the big red Netflix button because you just watch nothing but Netflix. Have you left the house? When's the last time you've been to a movie theater?
It's true. I haven't been to the theater for a little bit now. But I do have early tickets to Knives Out. So
nice.
That's the next time I'm going.
I know. I want to do that.
Actually, I'm sorry. The last time I went to the theater was for the Joker.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like a month ago.
Yeah.
It's okay. But you have a range of things to talk about. Let's start with The Last Boy Scout. I believe I reviewed this maybe a month or two ago when I was watching a lot of Shane Black.
Okay.
This stars, it's a 1991 film, stars Bruce Willis and is it Damon Wayans? Almost missed the Wayans brothers. Directed by Tony Scott, who's got his own style and everything. But I'll go into the description and you can tell me your thoughts because I know you have a whole list and everything. This is about a private detective.
Way to ruin that.
He's protected a female witness. I'm sorry. A private detective's protected female witness is murdered, prompting him and the victim's boyfriend to investigate the crime that leads to a corrupt politician and a crooked football team owner. This is a ridiculous movie that I love. It's near and dear to my heart.
Everything about it explains that time in our lives where things so ridiculous need to happen, and it doesn't matter if it was possible. It just happened, and you're going to deal with it, and you're going to watch it. So let's not forget Halle Berry shows up in this movie only to have an incident occur. Let's just say she has an incident occur. Can I spoil it? I mean, it's pretty old.
I mean, I guess. I'm thinking that stuff like this is for people who are big Fast and Furious fans, and maybe Hobbs and Shaw wasn't as exciting. I
would not
for
love
you.
These people. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean this was the Fast and Furious of the day. This is a very over the top action movie that's ridiculous but fun.
It is shenanigans. So the scene opens up, by the way, with a football game where a guy decides the only way he's going to make it for the touchdown is to shoot everyone, all the people, and then he goes, ain't life a bitch, and then just murders himself, and you're like, whoa, I did not expect that type of football game. Who does?
That scene affected me. It's one of the most memorable movie scenes as a child. It affected me emotionally. There was the first time you see Freddy Krueger and stuff like that, but I remember that scene was just in my memory forever. It was for a while the only thing I remembered about that movie.
Wow.
Because I watched a lot of sports movies when I was a kid, and I just
Sudden
wasn't
Death is my favorite.
Yeah, and it's that sports realm. It seems like a safe place for entertainment, and you just don't expect that. And it hasn't happened in real life yet, but it seemed like I remember when I saw that movie, it just felt it was going to be predictive. It was going to just the way sports was.
I'm going to go to a Ravens game and Lamar Jackson is going to hurdle a guy and then shoot him in the face.
Well, I mean, yeah, back then it was different players and stuff, but no, there's between it was always a joke, the stadiums, and you're talking about sudden death or even Naked Gun, which is done for laughs, but the idea of having people stuck in a sports arena has been used. Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, it's a
common trope.
Terrible environment to have a bad situation happen because not only do you have the situation happening, but it's compiled with not the most amazing. I mean, they have okay egress situations, but when panic happens and big events occur, nobody's thinking. People get trampled. People die from panic. I mean, it's crazy. But let's not go super downhill and talk about how terrible that scene was for you.
So let's talk about sports stadium terror. Let's sit around and talk.
This is going well. So I'm just going to start with my favorite scenes where there's a car chase and then they fly down the side of like a mountain and they're all just naturally hanging on somehow. And then he crashes going like 40 or 50 into a tree and then just split second later. All right, let's go. I'm like, dude, no, that would never. There was a kid in the car. That kid's just like, all right, let's move.
Yeah,
We're
like
good.
the guys are made out of rubber, basically.
And pretty much. And then 20 seconds later, the other car flips upside down into a pool and catches the entire pool and the top of the pool water on fire. Water just became flammable. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire in like 90s movies. People running from fire. Like a lot of, if you go back and watch 90s movies, there's usually, especially action movies, there's one scene where like fire does something that it shouldn't do, or people do something associated with fire.
Because you never saw that one I told you about with Dennis Quaid, where Wilder Napalm. Where they have the powers of fire.
Yeah, I did see Backdraft though. That movie made me scared of house fires. Like,
yeah.
Those movies really dumbed us down. Like, they were not. There should have been warnings about how not scientific they were.
I mean, seriously, if you watch it now, you're like, wow, this is fucking ridiculous. But as a kid, you're very influenced. You're like, this is totally fucking possible. So other amazing scenes that I found amazing. The guy, as he escapes the football arena stadium, he shoots out a car window. And there's just all these people walking by and no one notices. Dude fires like 3 bullets from fucking 10 feet away. And everyone's just like, popcorn. I thought that was really good. And when Damon Wayans throws a football to intercept a sniper bullet in mid fucking air, somehow he throws a fucking football faster than a fucking 50 caliber sniper round. And not only that, the ball just takes the round and the guy's fine. Not like it wouldn't go through the ball and probably murder that dude and 6 people behind him and go through another 3 balls. The ball saved everything. That ball was made out of something really crazy. So that was really impressive. I have a feeling
that's going to be myth busted.
I don't know, man. It seems pretty legitimate to me, and I'd really like to test that out. I'm going to throw a ball at your face and then fire a gun.
No thanks to either of those things. I don't trust you with either. I mean, I think that probably has been myth busted is what I mean to say.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so at this point. I don't know if you remember how the movie ends where he's talking to his wife and he just says, "Oh, Linda, I would spit on you in front of these cops and slap the shit out of you," and they're just crying. They're so happy. And he's like, "You
Bruce
fucking
Willis?
Slut, you bitch." Because earlier she cheated on him with her partner, his partner, and says all that shit, and then that's the final lines in the movie. He's just like, fuck you, Linda. I should spit on you in front of these cops, and they're just crying. And I'm just like, yes.
And then this is what we thought. We were really confused about romance and
I know.
fire.
Seriously, I mean, I've tried that line 6 times.
Cut to all of our ex-girlfriends nodding profusely, like, yep, they're idiots. They know nothing about fire.
This makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So all in all, must watch for anyone that wants to see Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans in his drug-addledness as he pretends to be some weird type of pill addict. I don't really know. He's like, the pills, they take the pain, man.
Yeah, I also recommend The Last Boy Scout. I don't know if I ended up buying it. It was something like, when you get the itch to watch it, like I had to see it. I don't think it was streaming at the time. I think I bought it for like $7, but that's $7 well spent.
For sure.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis in the prime time.
I sign off on all Shane Black stuff. I was just talking about him the other day at work, like how he pretty much makes the same kind of movie, but they're really good. I like them. And
I think he makes them relevant to the time period.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
there's a little twist here and there, but it's a buddy cop movie. It's over the top. It's, sharp talking, fast action, ridiculousness. So for some reason, and I was aware of the amazing Johnathan documentary for like a month or so now, I just decided to watch it. I don't know. Sometimes I get into I want something that's 90 minutes or less and easy to watch. And I heard a little bit about this, and there's 2 documents
Dockerments, like the shoe.
A man dies on podcast. And somehow you hear it because he posts it later. So there's 2 amazing Johnathan documentaries. And the first one is on Hulu. It's the more popular one of the two. And it's more about the filmmaker's struggle with finding out that the amazing Johnathan, who is this comedian, like magician comedian from the 90s, he finds out that this guy has at least 4 crews filming documentaries about him. And the main story is that he's had this career, this rise and fall, but he's been given a year to live, and he's doing a grand finale tour, and he's being retrospective about his life. And this documenter is very threatened by this. It's a comedian by the name of Benjamin Berman. He's done some comedy, some skits and stuff, and it slowly turns into more about this situation and about how the filmmaker is dealing with it. And all the while, you're trying to wonder, is this real? Is this like an Andy Kaufman type thing? Because Amazing Johnathan has been known for personal or practical jokes and just long form pranks and stuff you see throughout. Like he can't like sit still at a dinner table. He's always doing something. And this is a kind of guy that I was really familiar with because I was the kind of kid that watched Comedy Central like all day and watched every stand up special half a dozen times, and I kind of forgot about. So it was intriguing for me just to see this guy who shaped my sense of humor as a kid and see what he was up to. Nothing special about like the process of the documentary, and the second half, whether or not that interests you. A lot of people could get frustrated with it because it stops being about the subject and more about the guy dealing with it. But I found it interesting in kind of like the reality TV sense, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that was interesting, and then I wanted to see what other documentaries actually have been finished of the up to 4 that could be made. And there's one called Always Amazing that's also about the amazing Johnathan. It's available on YouTube through All Things Comedy, and it's directed by Steve Byrne, a stand-up comedian who you might be familiar with. And this is more of a standard documentary. It has a lot of old footage and interviews with his friends and family, which the Amazing Johnathan one on Hulu did as well, but slowly devolves into this whole other thing. So I thought they were both really interesting. If you're into stand-up or like just into documentaries and weird stuff like that, you could find it interesting. But it was cool to just kind of have like this 2-day rabbit hole I went down and remembered this comedian that I'd forgotten for like a decade. So they're both available. Like I said, the Amazing Johnathan documentary is on Hulu, and then Always Amazing is for free on YouTube.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll click a different button and check that out.
Yeah. Let's go back to what Josh has watched on Netflix.
Yeah, let's go back to that, because Josh ain't got time to really commit at the moment. But he's still pumping out something. And that's better than nothing, right?
Speaking about pumping out something, this is Steven Soderbergh's second movie on Netflix this year.
Yeah, right? So fuck you.
Am I right? Or am I thinking? No, I might be thinking of someone else. But I didn't realize.
So the Laundromat. I don't know why you haven't watched it yet.
Oh no, yeah, it is his second, because he also did High Flying Bird about the basketball player and the agent earlier this year.
Okay.
So yeah, this guy does his pump stuff out. Go ahead and talk about it though.
All right, and to be fair, again, it may be Netflix, but would you not watch something with Antonio Banderas, Gary Oldman, and Meryl Streep? Almost regardless, if you had no idea what the fucking movie was about.
I mean, these are very talented people, and then Steven Soderbergh is a very talented director.
So you hear these names, would you be like, you know what, don't even need to care?
No, I do look into things. You're more into actors. We've talked about this. If you have a handful of actors you like, you're going to watch it. I want to know what it's about and who made it.
Yeah, and I, appreciate people that makes, like Ryan Johnson made that Knives Out. That's particularly why I'm going to see that. It does have a great cast, but there's only so many creators that I pull and hold on to. I don't reach as far as you do in that realm. So anyways, The Laundromat. A widow investigates an insurance fraud, chasing leads to a pair of Panama City law partners exploiting the world's financial system. Boom. I don't want to get super in depth because I still want you to watch it, and I really want to know your opinion about this. But it is an interesting way that they choose to tell this story, breaking a lot of fourth wall elements and a lot of narration and metaphors and almost chapters even, with different segmented stories and how they all play a part in this giant cycle. The wash cycle, Frank. Because it's called the laundromat. Meryl Streep is amazing forever, usual. And I think Gary Oldman and Antonio Banderas really go over the top as these really eccentric, wealthy law partners that are just up to no good, and they started causing trouble in the neighborhood. I do understand how they got some of these.
You're not helping me. You're not helping me. Like,
what? Stay with it, Frank.
I
don't want to.
Is it funny? Is it okay? So crime dramas for me. If I'm watching a crime comedy, am I going to laugh out loud?
It's not what I expected it to be.
I'm interviewing you on this movie. It's like a job application.
Okay, well, I'm telling you this. What you're getting into is not what you thought it was.
Okay, it's a con person movie. I get it. I've watched con movies. What makes this special? I've watched a lot of Steven
I don't want to spoil
movies.
it, Frank. It's the last fucking 10 minutes of the movie. Kind of explains why this movie was made.
All right, what's the strengths of it? Is it the chemistry of the actors? Is it the writing?
Well, I did talk a little bit to that, but you were too busy holding on to my Fresh Prince references. Gary Oldman, as I said, and Antonio were extremely eccentric and did really above performances of these really self-absorbed characters, which were fun to watch as they did this storytelling features.
Yeah, their suits seem like a tribute to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, right? That's not a mistake?
I would say that's totally fair and within reason. I think Meryl Streep is just. There's this funny, really cute part that you'll just don't want to spoil it, but it's just an odd movie that has a lot of metaphors and real world takes of current situations.
Okay, all right. I'm lukewarm. I'm not as cold as I was, but I don't know if you really convinced me.
I'm not really trying to convince you, but I do think you would understand why this movie was made if you watched the last 20 minutes of it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm on a scale of 1 to Dirk Gently's. I'm at like a 3.
I don't even know what that means because you still haven't watched more than one episode of Dirk Gently, so I don't really understand how that's a barometer.
This podcast is turning into friends therapy. Like, it's...
You fucking offered up that carrot, and I just took a bite.
You did. All right, let's talk about 2 things we both watched. These are co-reviews. Up first is something that's not available on Netflix. Frank. If you can believe it or not, I watched the movie Life. This is a space drama.
It's a sci-fi thriller, bitch.
A sci-fi thriller.
Bitch.
About a team of scientists aboard an international space station discover a rapidly evolving life form that caused extinction on Mars. Spoiler in this. Jeez. And now threatens all life on Earth. Spoiler. Yikes. This plot description is such a spoiler. Is this how the trailer for this went too?
No, it didn't. And that's funny. That's stupid. All I know is don't listen to whatever Frank just said and go watch this movie.
So, if you made this far, don't rewind back. Should I edit that out? I'll try to bleep it. I wonder if I can. I don't know if I can bleep, but I'll try to bleep.
It's brought to you by Frank Fuck Ups.
Anyways,
get them to now.
So Life came out 2 years ago, and the cast is really interesting. Rebecca Ferguson, who we'll talk about later in the podcast, who's great. Ryan Reynolds,
Elba,
Jake Gyllenhaal, no Idris Elba. You might be thinking of Ariane Bakari. But yeah, really good cast. Great chemistry there. But to me, this was little more than like a popcorn movie, like one of the great like yell at the screen movies where you're like, no, why would you do that? That's stupid. And oh my God, this fucking Jello jiggler is turning into an octopus and it's killing everybody.
The Jello jiggler's coming.
Fuck, what was his name? It was C. Fuck. What's his name?
No, they definitely named that fucking thing.
Yeah, but anyways, I thought this movie was okay. Like it's done well enough. It's got a certain quality to it, but it really boils down to like, who do you think's going to live? I thought the characters weren't very multi-dimensional. They were just kind of like, Jake Gyllenhaal's the guy who likes being up in space because he hates that he doesn't even want to deal with the other 8 billion motherfuckers.
Yeah, fuck people.
I don't want to go down there. There's 8 billion motherfuckers. Ryan Reynolds is like, come on, guys, what are we doing? This is stupid. Let's break. He's the rule breaking guy. Like,
everybody falls into their tropes.
Yeah, the characters are. They're not. There's not much depth to them, but it was exciting enough. The FX version I watched had commercial breaks, which was unfortunate. Not the best way to watch a movie. But,
I would agree.
I mean, it's just okay. I can't really like fully endorse it. I'm not mad that I watched it, but sometimes you're not always in the mood to watch something complicated. I usually am, but if you just want some cheap entertainment with some actors you like, it's not the worst thing. It's okay. It's just okay. And
I thought it was fun, and I love a good sci-fi. The Thing is just really holds dear to me, and I found this very similar in those aspects of fighting just something that does not reason with it. You can't argue with it. I don't remember what lines that's from, but that's from a fucking movie, and it just murders shit.
Yeah. So the ever expanding, blob was named Calvin. Because Calvin Coolidge, like elementary or whatever.
Calvin, that's what it was.
Like they won the contest.
That's fucking terrifying. That made it way worse.
I just like sci-fi that has some sort of commentary on life. Like this is just a survival movie.
It does not need to have other layers. What is wrong with you? Can't you get a cake with chocolate frosting and just be like, that's a good cake? Because
I'll just rewatch Alien. Why does this movie need to exist? And we have Alien, we have 2001 Space Odyssey, which has like these things,
because these actors still need to get paid, and we still need popcorn flicks.
Yeah, it's just mediocre to me.
I'm not saying it's the best movie ever released. I'm just saying it's a fun watch with just a really fun little monster movie.
That's fair. I could see how you would take it that way. I don't think it's bad either. Like I said, it's okay, and I do have problems with okay movies.
Space.
The worst part of okay movies is like okay movies are hard to really talk about on a podcast. You're just like, yeah.
All right, now let's go to one with a commentary and something that I had watched a bit ago, and now you have as well. Let's get your thoughts on. Oh, by the way, what's it on, Frank?
The Invitation is the next film. This is a 2015 film available on Netflix.
Oh, is it?
It is described in not such a spoiler-y way as a man accepts an invitation to a dinner party hosted by his ex-wife, an unsettling affair that reopens old wounds and creates new tensions. This is directed by Karen Kusami and stars bunch of familiar faces, Logan Marshall Green being the main one and Tammy Blanchard. So this is like more of like, to me, it's an exercise in like a what if scenario. This, we want to walk around the spoilers on this one, but again, like I thought this one was entertaining, but it didn't really have much layers to it. Like I was definitely entertained by it. Wasn't really surprised by any of the twists and turns. I thought they were pretty much spelled out for you. There was a moment or two where you doubt, like, this is one of those movies where
just that little bit of doubt, man. That's all you need.
Yeah, and I read some reviews from my friends, and more people were really felt the tension in this one. I don't know if it was the setting where I was watching it with a crowd. So sometimes those movies are better watched alone.
I think I could feel the tension a little. And if you watch it with a crowd, I can see how you're going to have a little bit more of a commentary on the now instead of let your mind roam.
And that's quite possibly the case, and I don't want to be unfair to it. I think it's a pretty good movie. I think it's a smart movie. I think the writers and the director of this and the writers, I think they're going to do some great things. There's a lot of talent there, especially in just like the puzzle of the party itself. But it just, I've seen stuff like this before, like You're Next and Ready or Not and things like that. And I feel like just recently I've seen better versions of this. Not that this is bad. Again, I thought it was pretty good. But the ending was okay too.
Yeah, and like the pop, I thought the pop was pretty good.
The pop was pretty good. I think the melodrama, it was just so heavy. Like in the beginning, I'm like, God, these people are so horny and weird. Like I feel like everyone was on Molly.
Yes, it was like real white people problems.
It started off where like like everyone seemed like they wanted to fuck each other, and I was really confused.
Hey,
and I felt a lot for the guy who accepts the invitation, his girlfriend. I mean, girlfriend of the fucking year. The patience that woman exercises during that whole thing. I mean, she's in hostile territory with the guy's ex-wife, all her
doesn't
friends.
know any of these fucking people. Yeah, I wouldn't have made it
house,
out of it.
people acting weird and very pushy. The ex-wife is just
showing you videos about weird ass shit.
Also very handsy on the ex, and like the energy was just odd throughout. And yeah, like, and you know what they're trying to convince these people to do is weird. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good movie. If not good, pretty good, not great.
Pretty good, not great. You heard it here first, folks.
You disagree with me. I feel like you liked it more.
No, I'm not. I don't totally disagree with you. I just think I did feel the tension a little bit more, and it was a little bit more gripping in the moment I watched it. I think I'm not saying much better than I just thought it was a good movie, and I'm not talking very well at the moment.
It's okay. We won't judge you. So back to me. I went to the theaters twice this week. First to see the latest from Taika Waititi, Jojo Rabbit, which is like, I was so looking forward to this movie, and I kept tracking because I don't have like the cool Alamo Draft House like you do, Josh. So I have to hope that AMC
I have
theaters,
3 of them, Frank.
Yeah.
I have 3 of them.
AMC has some dumb thing they call it. It's almost like they call it, I think it's like artisanal films or like AMC.
That sounds stupid.
I know.
I get a comfortable chair and a big bowl of popcorn, and you can order wings in there and shit.
They have that. They have all that, but it's like they make a big deal when they have like an independent movie. Actually, The Joker started out like this too. It was like an artisan pick or whatever the fuck they call it.
I don't remember what it was, but I think Mark Hamill's has a teaser portion before the movie. He's like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, at the Draft House?
Yeah.
That's great. I don't have all that. I got fucking...
I have Mark Hamill, bitch.
Big chain
What do you
theaters.
have?
Anyways, I was excited that they finally got Jojo Rabbit. It was, a week or 2 late. It's okay. This is about a young boy who's like 9 or 10 in Hitler's army. Finds out that his mother has hiding a secret, is what I'll say. And he has an imaginary friend who is Adolf Hitler. Now, this is an interesting subject matter, and Taika Waititi plays Hitler, which I thought was good that if he's going to write a movie about it, he gets to play it, because it's a hard role to play. Yeah, and like it's a hard thing to do to play this guy. Hitler's the most infamous real life person in our culture, in pop culture, especially in American culture, because we have some.
Well, in Jewish culture,
for sure, definitely.
I don't think we like it very much.
So the young kid played by Roman Griffin Davis, I thought he was fantastic. This movie has a lot of charm to it. It has like constantly flipping the tone between, because this takes place like right in the heart of Germany during World War II. So there's paranoia, there's a lot of nationalism, and I think the main thing this movie is trying to preach against is hate and the blindness nationalism leads to. I mean, this kid is like, kids become obsessed with comic books or baseball, and like
he got obsessed with Hitler.
I used to memorize like baseball stats and baseball card values and all that stuff, and I knew things inside out. This guy, he memorized Hitler and the Hitler's dream and all that, and he goes to this like camp, which reminds you much like Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom. Yeah, but instead of Ed Norton, you have Sam Rockwell, who is fantastic as always in this as Captain Klenzendorf, and he has Alfie Allen. If you looked him up, you'd remember. The face would click. He's like his right hand man, and Rebel Wilson is also running this camp with those two guys, and they're hysterical. He's like, he got injured. Sam Rockwell like lost an eye in war, and he wants to fight for his country, but he has to train these kids, and that's where Roman Griffin, like his character Jojo, starts to have to struggle with like his beliefs and who he thinks he is and how passionate he is about this cause there. And his mother's played by Scarlett Johansson, who's fantastic, and she struggles with the fact that she's not as strongly following Hitler's lead as her son, and he's just an obsessive son. And yeah, man, it's really good. I think it handled the tonal shifts really well. I thought it was just a great, sweet movie that when it wanted to cut deep, it did. And then when it wanted to cool that burn a little bit with some humor, it was great. There was a big moment in the end that I kind of telegraphed and saw coming, but it still was effective nonetheless.
You can't win every surprise, Frank.
Yeah, but I think it's important thing. The most important thing I can say is, like, it's not going for shock value. It's using this character of Hitler, to make a really good point, and using the Nazi thing. I thought it was done with care. I'm sure whenever you have a swastika in a movie, people are going to be offended, and I understand that. I respect that. But if you're a fan of Taika Waititi, I think you're going to enjoy this a lot. And if you are questioning this movie, check out his other stuff. It's available, like his movies Boy, Into the Wilderness, a Hunt for the Wilder People. I'm sorry. I can't fucking talk or think either. But,
Words and wilder persons.
Look up Taika Waititi's cinematography. Fucking God, dude. I can't use words. Look up his...
Cut. Frank Jiggy, take 4.
His cinematography is great, but look up his filmography and then decide if you want to see this movie.
Look up his discography too while you're at it. You might find some good tracks.
Closer than what I was really saying. But anyway, like, I love his movies. This one is no exception, and one of my top 10 films for sure this year.
Okay. Definitely something I plan on checking out eventually. And if you watch the trailer, you can tell that they're not looking to utilize this character for a shock value, crazy situation. You can tell right off the bat that he's trying to tell a story and make a dignified point. And it seems like he did that, so definitely worth checking out. Something on my list.
Yeah, they described it as an anti-hate satire on the posters.
There you go. Yeah. Did you ever see Man in the High Castle, by the way?
No. I know what it's about. It's interesting.
Yeah, I did watch all the seasons of that. It's a little slow to get into, but there's some pretty interesting characters, and then shit gets really fucking crazy by the end of the first season that you're like, whoa, I thought this was all on the up and up, and turns out it's on the upside down. Let's just say that. Definitely check that show out if you have some time. It's really a good character. It's really beautifully shot. Interesting stories from a lot of different character perspectives. And if you don't know what that's about, it's kind of in an alternate world where we lost World War II, basically. And we're living in a world where the Japanese and the Germans have basically claimed certain portions of land. Like, they have the West. The Germans have pretty much the East Coast. The West Coast is what I was saying. So, yeah, check that out some point if you want. I'd love to see what you thought of just a couple episodes.
I have to see the episode length and the series length. I just don't like committing.
I think it's about 3 seasons, and it's done.
A couple of my shows are ending, so I have some space. But Dirk Gently's first.
No, it's not. Let's just get over that. It's gone. You're never going to watch it. It's just like The Leftovers. It's in a pile of things that's like Josh's throwaway hopes and dreams.
Leftovers is moving up so far. I haven't watched the most recent episode of The Watchmen, but I'm impressed with that. So that's given me hope that I'm going to enjoy Leftovers.
Yeah, you couldn't just take my fucking word for it.
I do. I consider these things. You don't know how many people recommend TV shows.
Consider?
If you knew my friends here in
I consider
Maryland,
being black tomorrow. How's that working out?
Consider. God, why would you use that?
I don't know, because I'm looking at a poster for the movie that I'm about to talk about next.
Oh my God! Subject change. So I can't even finish my thought because I don't know where we're going. Anyways, Little Monsters I reviewed. It's on Hulu right now. It's a Hulu original.
Which reminded me to watch it. And it's not Netflix, Frank. It's not fucking Netflix.
So how did this happen?
This was something I wanted to see. And when you fucking were like, oh, yeah, that came out, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to watch that. I was really excited about the trailer. I just didn't pay attention to the release dates. Who knows? Surprise. As Frank may have mentioned, it's about a washed-up musician teams up with a teacher and a kid show personality to protect young children from a sudden outbreak of zombies. I think the whole washed-up musician thing, that whole way they set it up, it was kind of unnecessary and a little bit played out. You don't care as much about this redemption story for Dave, the main character played by Alexander England. But I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but the story is really Lupita Nyong'o's character that is just fantastic versatility and from nurturer to murderer to just quick and smart. And I really love the use of Neil Diamond in this. Was pretty funny as well.
It was a nice touch. I mean, I think it's very much Dave's story first. I think her performance is the best because she's the most talented person in the movie. But I think it's very much Dave's story.
It's an attempt at Dave's story, but Josh Gad showing up and playing the opposite of Olaf.
Yeah, I knew you were going to love that performance.
He's like, these fucking pieces of shit dirtbags.
I kind of forgot that
fuck all their moms. I fuck all their moms.
I didn't realize that he was kind of playing on his Olaf character, which is one of the most beloved mascots in movies or TV right now.
So this is Rudolph. Get it? It's Rude. Instead of Olaf.
Damn, that's good. And it was a frog. So right, was it a frog?
What? Yeah, the frog was like, "What's that, Frogsy?" And he's like,
God, dude, those totally missed on me. And Frozen 2 is out like next week, so it's some balls by Josh Gad. Respect for the artist.
Dude, it was pretty serious, and he's like, just the amount of, he's like, I fuck fat ones, little ones, short ones, black ones, Asian moms, and all the moms. I fuck all the moms. Like,
yeah, he was a great villain. I like a complicated villain, and
he was complicated. He had some fucking layers real quick. You could see he was an onion just dropping layers, man. Really put another spin on and another element of danger that you really weren't sure what his character was going to do next. So it's a fun watch, and that's what I expected it to be, and it was. I'm happy I saw it out beyond the big red magic button.
Yeah, I dug it, dude. I thought it was fun. It's a good mix of horror and comedy, and
it had heart. I think it had heart with the nurturing aspect and this guy who's trying to just be devious and understand that his nephew looks up to him, and oh my god, the fucking Darth Vader shit was so amazing.
Oh yes, when he puts that Darth Vader helmet on, he thinks he
uses the Force, and the shit that he says, he's like the clutch is on the left, and he's like, stay in character. He's like, the clutch is on the left.
Yeah, it's got a very specific sense of humor, but
it's dry. It's good. Yeah.
I think most people that deal with us would have a similar sense of humor, so I recommend it too. I thought
very cute and yet mature at the same time.
Agree. It's one of the very few movies that is scary and funny and sweet.
And adorable.
Yeah. It's a very unique film, and I recommend it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, our last review on the show.
Aren't you glad?
Man.
Hey, side note, Frank, don't fucking spoil this because I want to see this. So you think about that before you choose your words.
So it's funny you say that because one of the other podcasts I listened to, someone watched this without knowing that it was a sequel to The Shining. Like, they avoid spoilers, and of course you find out 10 minutes in, but they were like it's amazing, right? Like, someone could watch that and then they see the big wheel and they're like, what? This is this is related to The Shining? I wish I was that ignorant to like upcoming movies. But anyway, we're talking about Dr. Sleep. This is years following the events of The Shining, and now adult Dan Torrance, played by Ewan McGregor, which has been pointed out. If you need to play someone playing a famous child character all grown up, you just get Ewan McGregor, or a famous older character, Obi-Wan Kenobi, younger. You get Ewan McGregor because
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Well, he did Christopher Robin like last year, and now he's playing Danny Torrance. It's just weird. These are hard roles to just encapsulate. Like, these are people's expectations because everyone's like had their own idea.
I'm seeing like James McAvoy in this role just because he was just in It and playing a grown-up child as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, I can see that too. As we get distracted midway through describing this, so Ewan McGregor plays Dan Torrance. He has to protect a young girl with similar powers from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on children with powers to remain immortal. This is directed by Mike Flanagan, who's most recently done some Stephen King adaptation, Gerald's Game, on Netflix, which I thought was better than it had any reason to be. And he was behind The Haunting of Hill House, which was very popular earlier this year.
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah. So I am a big fan of this one. It's tough treading, man. It's like a thankless task to make a sequel to The Shining, which is like a film snob's favorite movie, rightfully so. Kubrick is one of my favorites and just makes things, to me, that's on a whole other level. Like, he's just doing different things. His films always looked different. the writing was different. They were just on another level. So to make a sequel of this, and it's based on a book, and to adapt Stephen King stuff, that's another expectation people have like built in. I thought this movie was so much fun, dude. I loved it. I thought it was very inventive, like the way they showed these people's powers and the way it was shot and all the camera tricks were awesome. It was the pacing was fantastic because it's a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, but it did not feel like that at all. The way it built the world and the rules of these characters, I thought was fantastic.
Hey, watch your tone.
I know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like what the good versus evil, light versus dark was really cool. The concepts that they added, like everything in the pace and the acting, everything was so ambitious that like little things that maybe you would pick apart in other movies, you didn't have time to. Like it just, you were so convinced of this stuff because everyone believed it. Ewan McGregor was fantastic, but the person I really want to highlight in this is Rebecca Ferguson, and she was in Life. She was, I think, the one that was like Jake Gyllenhaal's friend that made it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, what the fuck is with you?
And she's also like, Tom Cruise's like kind of love interest in the last 2 Mission Impossible movies. She is fan-fucking-tastic in this. She is an amazing villain. She plays Rose the Hat, and her performance is one of my favorite this entire year. And, never will get nominated because it's a horror movie, and, there's a bias against that.
Does it hold up to the horror aspect?
For sure. Yeah, dude. It is really creepy. And the whole thing is it didn't even have to be, in my opinion, associated with The Shining. Like, it's okay. I don't think it does anything to harm it. But I think that...
Yeah, and you have to understand that sometimes they're just trying to stand on their own 2 feet with a similar storyline, and it's not a direct correlation. Even, kid growing up, but it could be a whole nother universe.
Mm-hmm. And like a lot of Stephen King stuff, the ending isn't the best part, but it's not it doesn't ruin it or anything.
Talk about it. I don't even want you to talk about it. Shut up.
But yeah, it worked really well. I saw it in a Dolby theater at my local theater, and the surround sound and like the thumps and stuff, like it's got some big booms and stuff in it.
You got the big booms and the like big thumpity thumps.
Some big bass moments. Like definitely see it in the best theater possible. I think it's going to enhance it. And the crowd was really cool that I watched it with, which is always important when you're watching scary movies. So this movie's not doing too well, unfortunately. It's just weird to me, like how all the major studios have problems like putting out horror movies and like sequels like this. It reminded me of Blade Runner 2049, where I was like, oh, this movie's gonna be fucking huge. I loved it. It was amazing. And then no one went and saw it. Similarly, Dr. Sleep's not doing too well. So go see it in theaters this weekend if you can. I think it's fantastic and something that definitely benefits from seeing in the theater because it's probably not going to last long, unfortunately. It's destined to be a cult hit.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes, and it's a shame that we can't do things to take movies that maybe don't do so well and just drop some dollar amounts on those ticket prices, or do some type of, get that ticket, you get your next, I don't know, do things to help benefit the movies, to help people to go see them and then be pleasantly surprised, instead of just assuming that, hey, this is the margin, this is the dollar amount you have to spend. Do that or you don't get to see it. Well, not every movie stands on its own 2 feet sometimes. It takes a little bit of push like we do here to try and push you into watching or not watching things.
Yeah, the way it is now, it's like if it doesn't hit the weekend, usually it doesn't. But then
and that's shitty.
Yeah, and I think of like The Sixth Sense and how that built over word of mouth, and like it's like scary movies.
People are like, bro, and you see dead people, bro.
Yeah. Scary movies and...
Oh, you like that accent.
Scary movies and comedies are... Because it's so ridiculous. Scary movies and comedies are really hard to sell right now for some reason. It's like Game Night was fantastic, and that movie should have made hundreds of millions of dollars. But in our area, I guess this is where I benefit. There is discount days. There's movie subscription services where you can pay 1 month and see a bunch of movies. And there's like second-run movie theaters still near me where you can see stuff for like... There's one theater.
Movies? Well, I think it's down up to $2.50 now.
There's a $3 theater, and then there's a $5 theater.
It's $3 now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. There better be really good movies in there.
So yeah, that's all the reviews for this week. I highly recommend Dr. Sleep and Jojo Rabbit. Also, I'm with Josh on Little Monsters. The Amazing Johnathan documentaries, I feel like you got to be a fan or just have interest in stand-up comedy. Yeah, recapping.
Okay.
And then, The Life and Imitation. Invitation I thought were pretty good, and of course I love The Last Boy Scout.
Okay, so we just went and reversed this entire thing. So if you just listen to this 5 minutes, you actually don't need to listen to the first 50.
No, you don't. You could just,
just so you know, because Frank just told you.
I also don't understand when people know me. They're like, "I listen to the podcast." I'm like, "Thank you so much for the support, but just ask me. Like, I could tell you, you know."
Just ask you what,
Yeah,
like, what
like
the movie's good or bad?
Yeah, what movie should I watch instead of listen to us ramble for an hour?
That's fucking stupid. You should definitely say, "Nope, I'm not going to tell you about it." That's what I tell my friend all the time. My friend Tim, he's like, "Hey, what did you think of that?" I'm like, "Fuck you, Tim. Go listen to the podcast."
Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have better friends, Tim.
Yeah, well, sorry. We have to push, give, and love each other.
I also have a friend, Tim, who listens to the podcast, and he's like, "Hey, where's the podcast at? What's going on?" So shout out.
Well, it's good to know. Shout out to Tim for giving a fuck about the podcast.
Me, I hope everyone has a Tim that supports their hobby.
But you know what? My Tim, fuck you, Tim.
I love my Tim. Be
my
better.
Tim, he's okay.
Treat your Tim
but you
better.
know what? I'm going to make sure he listens to this and let him know that an entire segment is based on his name being Tim.
Yeah, well, let's wrap this puppy up because Josh has to get cat food. I'm going to watch The End of the Fucking World on Netflix.
Are you fucking really going to watch it?
I'm going to watch that. And then I don't know what else because I'm moving. So I'm going to try to watch as much as possible and talk about it. Now, I think I might finally finish up Twin Peaks, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. I am totally going to watch the original Dolomite because it's on Amazon Prime, so I'm totally watching that. I'm going to watch Gemini Man, which I think you talked about, right? You saw that? Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. I was interested in it because of the
way it was shot. Yeah, but didn't actually see it. Who knows? There's a couple things. I thought about The Lighthouse, and then I turned the lights out, baby.
Watch The Lighthouse, man. You gotta fucking watch.
I'll watch The Lighthouse when you start one of my damn shows. If you really want me to watch it that much,
I'm telling you for your own good. You're gonna love The Lighthouse.
I don't give a shit. I've been telling you for your own good for months, for years.
Want to keep fighting?
Yeah, I'm down. Let's go, bitch. You want some?
All right. Thanks for listening, Tims and otherwise, and we'll talk to you next week if my internet's hooked up at a new place.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.